we're only about 3 weeks away from Azurite C's launch, so the spoiler posts are becoming a lot more frequent. So just like last week, let's not waste a lot of time. Really quick, I want to remind everyone to please like this video and subscribe to the Sorcerer's Hat for more Disney Lorcana content. I post brand new videos every Friday. All right, let's not waste any more time, and let's get into it. First up is a new Steel Jafar card. This is Jafar, and I do not know the subtitle. He is an uninkable 5-cost steel character card with 3 strength, 4 willpower, and he quests for 1 lore. He has 1 ability, which reads, during your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, deal 1 damage to chosen character. This seems like a fairly good option for ping decks since you're probably going to be inking every turn anyway, and it'll reliably let you add damage to something. This for sure goes in an Emerald Steel deck that isn't focused on discard. I don't hate it, but it feels like it's 1 ink too expensive to be good enough, but we'll see. Next is Grand Councilwoman, Federation Leader. She is an inkable 2-cost Amber character card with 1 strength, 3 willpower. She quests for 1 lore. She has 1 ability, Find It. Whenever this character quests, your other alien characters get +1 lore this turn. This is some pretty good support for the aliens archetype, which could be kind of fun. Is this going to be good in the meta? Probably not, but if there are a lot of aliens in the set, it could be pretty good in draft. I think down the road, if you wanted to build some kind of alien theme deck, this would probably be pretty good in it, but otherwise, I don't really see it seeing much play. Next up is a new steel item. This is Sunglasses. It is an inkable 4-cost steel item with 1 ability, Spycraft. Exert this card, draw a card, then choose and discard a card. This isn't bad. I do think it's a bit expensive, and part of me wants to say this is pretty good, but part of me thinks it costs about twice as much as it should, but I don't know. Either way, I don't think it's bad. In draft, though, it's probably pretty awesome. Next up is King Hubert, Philip's father. He's an inkable 3-cost steel character card with 3 strength, 4 willpower, and he quests for 1. Nothing too exciting. It's a vanilla with okay stats. Won't see constructed play most likely, but probably will see some play in draft. Next is John Silver, Ship's Cook. He's an inkable 3-cost steel character card with 3 strength and 3 willpower. He quests for 1, and he has 1 ability, Hunk of Hardware. When you play this character, chosen character can't challenge during their next turn. I think this is pretty good in a Pirates deck since John Silver is also a pirate. This is almost like that card, When Will My Life Begin, but on a body, except it doesn't get the added benefit of also drawing a card. In draft, this is an awesome common card that I would take pretty regularly. In constructed, I don't really see this seeing any play except as maybe a one-of tech card, or in Pirates probably, if Pirates ever becomes a thing. But I do think this is a pretty good card overall. I like it. Next is another Treasure Planet card. This is Jim Hawkins. He is an uninkable 5-cost steel character card with 5 strength, 5 willpower, and he quests for 2 lore. He shifts for 3, and he has 1 ability that says when you play this character, deal 1 damage to a character or location. I don't really like this card. I mean, it's not terrible, but it doesn't really do all that much when you get it out. He's also not a pirate, so it doesn't really do well on the pirate decks. And yes, I know Jim isn't technically a pirate in this story, but still, that little bit of synergy would at least help. I don't think this is all that good in a constructed deck, but in draft, this is probably pretty good and you should probably play it. Next up is the Carpenter, Dinner Companion. He's an inkable 2-cost Amethyst character card with 1 strength, 1 willpower, and he quests for 1. He has 1 ability, I'll Get You. When this character is banished, you may exert chosen character. I don't think this card is all that great. It might see a little play in draft, but I don't see this getting played at all in normal constructed. It's just a slower Pinocchio talkative puppet, so yeah, not super hot on this card. Next is a new Winnie the Pooh character making their Lorcana debut. This is Rue, Littlest Pirate. He's an inkable 2-cost Amber character card with 1 strength, 2 willpower. He quests for 1, and he has 1 ability, I'm a Pirate 2. When you play this character, you may give chosen character -2 strength until the start of your next turn. This is once again not a bad draft card, especially if you go really hard into Pirates. But other than that, I don't think this really sees play anywhere else. But it is cute though. Next is a really interesting action. This is Lose the Way. It is an inkable 2-cost Amethyst action card that reads exert chosen character. Then you may choose and discard a card. If you do, the exerted character can't ready at the start of their turn. I kind of like this card. It's another Pinocchio talkative puppet, but instead you get the option of also discarding a card to lock that exerted character out next turn. Is spending 2 cards to do that worth it? Honestly, probably not, but you never know. It might warrant some testing, but I don't hate it. I think this would be better on a body for sure, but you know, in draft it's probably okay, and yeah, it's not too bad. Next, we've got a new Gazelle card that's actually pretty dang good. This is Gazelle. She's an inkable 2-cost emerald character card with 1 strength, 2 willpower. She quests for 1, and her ability reads, when you play this character, chosen character gains evasive until the start of your next turn. I like this card a lot. It's cheap, it's inkable, it's common. It can help you get rid of something like a Diablo with a character that normally wouldn't be able to take care of it. If Diablo sticks around, which I think he will, I could see this card seeing some play in the meta, to be honest. It's also really good in draft for helping you get rid of your opponent's evasive characters, so yeah, overall, I like this card a lot. Next up is Prepare to Board. It is an inkable 1-cost emerald action card that reads, chosen character gets +2 strength this turn. If a pirate character is chosen, they get +3 strength instead. Not a huge fan of this. The pirate synergy is nice, but it's in a color that doesn't really have a lot of pirates or pirate synergy, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is a card that's fairly okay for draft and basically nothing else. Next, the Treasure Planet love continues with Mr. Arrow, Legacy's first mate. He's an inkable 2-cost steel character card with 1 strength, 2 willpower, and he quests for 2. He also has resist 1. I'm kind of meh on this card. It's basically the same as Food Fight Mickey, except it's got 1 extra lore and costs 1 more. I'd almost always rather be playing the Mickey, however, because you can use him as a shift target for so many other Floodborn Mickey cards. So I'm not a huge fan of it, but it'll probably be okay in draft. Next, we've got Baymax's Healthcare Chip. It is an inkable 2-cost sapphire item, which reads 10,000 medical procedures. Exert this item, choose 1. You can either remove up to 1 damage from chosen character, or if you have a robot character in play, remove up to 3 damage from a chosen character. This is basically a worse Popsicle if you aren't running robots, but if you are running robots, it does help you out a bit more. It is also more expensive than Popsicle, so I don't really know why I made that comparison, but that's the way it is. I don't really think that this will see any meta play, but if you end up crafting some kind of robots theme deck that also manages to heal a lot and is maybe a Grand Pabby kind of deck or something, then it could be okay. It could be all right in draft, but I don't really see this seeing a ton of play, to be honest. Next is another Prince Philip. This is an inkable 3-cost emerald character card with 3 strength, 2 willpower, and he quests for 2, and he also has ward. This is a pretty good French vanilla card. I probably wouldn't run it in a constructed deck over Bonsai. However, it does have ward, so it's not as easily removed as Bonsai is, and it's inkable. So I could see an argument for either one, but if you wanted to use this as a shift target for another Prince Philip Floodborn character, then yeah, this could be pretty good. In draft, it's pretty great. So overall, I like the look of it. Okay, next is a really weird one, but also a weirdly fascinating one. This is Sugar Rush Racetrack, I believe that says. It is an uninkable 2-cost location with a move cost of 6 and 7 willpower. It has no passive lore, and it reads, when you move a character here from another location, you can banish this location to gain 3 lore and draw 3 cards. So this basically only goes in one deck, and it's a racer sort of location aggro deck. Is it going to be meta viable? Probably not at all, but it will most likely be a very fun deck to mess around with at locals or free play. It's also wild that this is a super rare. Feels kind of weird that this is a super rare. Like, what do they know that we don't, right? But yeah, Very interesting, very, very strange, but I look forward to someone breaking this at some point. Next is Ambush. This is an uninkable 3-cost steel action card that reads, exert one of your characters to deal damage equal to their strength to chosen character. I could see this being pretty awesome in the right circumstances. In draft, it will certainly be a great card. In constructed, it could be used in a ping deck just to help deal with larger threats or to finish them off entirely. The game needs more removal options like this in general, so I do welcome a card like this being introduced, and I actually kind of like the look of it. I think this might see play somewhere because it's not bad. I actually think this is pretty good. In the right circumstances, though. Next is a very strange one. This is Madame Mim, truly marvelous. She is an uninkable 3-cost amethyst character card with 2 strength, 3 willpower, and she quests for 1. She has 1 ability, Oh Bat Gizzards. Pay 2 ink, choose and discard a card, gain 1 lore. I don't really know what to think of this card. On one hand, I think it's kind of awful, but on the other hand, I could see a world in which this becomes a great card with a really far out there deck that we might not see for a very long time. So yeah, I might keep an eye on this for now, but I struggle to even think of a situation where this is going to be good in the near future. And it's also wild to me that this is also a super rare. Again, what does Ravensburger know that we don't? Why is this a super rare? Very, very strange. Next is Hercules Baby Demigod. He's an uninkable 6-cost emerald character card with 6 strength, 3 willpower. He quests for 2. He has Ward and 1 ability, strong like his dad. Pay 3 ink, deal 1 damage to chosen damaged character. There are aspects of this card that I like. I also think this is a surefire winner for an enchanted card this set, but there's also some stuff I don't really like. This is for sure a card for the Emerald Steel Ping deck, but getting to only do 1 damage to a character that's already damaged is kind of limiting, and 3 ink to only do 1 damage just feels really bad. He does at least have Ward, which is nice, and a lot of attack power, so he could be in the ping deck, but I think this warrants some testing. I don't know about it. My instinct is that this isn't a very good card, but it is a legendary, so I don't know. Maybe it could be all right at some point, but I'm not sure. Next up, Hades is back. This is Hades Strong Arm. He is an uninkable 5-cost ruby character card with 4 strength, 3 willpower, and he quests for 1. He has 1 ability. What are you gonna do? Exert this character and pay 3 ink. Banish one of your characters to banish chosen character. Man, if only tokens existed in Lorcana, this card would be really good. Or if, you know, the ability actually happened on play, then I think this card would be amazing. There are instances where this card is going to be insane, especially because it lets you trade up your 1 or 2 drop characters into much larger threats, but it's also really slow, it's understated, and having to pay 3 ink to do it is a lot. So I think you'll like this card in draft since there doesn't seem to be much hard removal in the set, but in constructed, I think we have way better options than this. So yeah, not totally sure about this one. Next is an interesting choice for pirate decks. This is Kakamora. He's an uninkable 7-cost steel character card with 4 strength, 6 willpower. He quests for 2, and he has 1 ability, which, you know, this is like another Yu-Gi-Oh card in the making, man. So much text. But it basically says, whenever this character quests, you may draw a card and then choose and discard a card to deal 1 damage to chosen character or location. If the discarded card is a pirate, deal 3 damage instead. This feels like a really good top line for ping decks that takes advantage of a steal mechanic that we already have, which is drawing and discarding your own cards. While this card is very expensive, I think it has a lot of potential in pirate decks specifically, and maybe ping decks. In draft, it might be hard to play, and discarding your very limited card pool may be asking a lot or too much. But if you manage to draft a ton of pirates, this could basically lock your opponent out of the game in the right circumstances. So Yeah, I would probably play this in draft as a bomb, but I would do so with caution because it's going to be incredibly hard to play. All right, more Treasure Planet, let's go. This is Captain Amelia, Commander of the Legacy. She is an inkable 4-cost steel character card with 1 strength, 4 willpower. She quests for 2 lore. She has 2 abilities. She has Driveling Galoots. This character can't be challenged by pirate characters, and her second ability is Everything Shipshape. While being challenged, your other characters gain resist 1. This one is very odd. It's conditional resist, which isn't amazing. I mean, it helps, but it's not amazing. And she's very understated for what she is. In draft, this could be a very good card, especially if your opponent didn't draft a lot of removal or ping options, which would help you get more value out of your trades and stuff. So yeah, good in draft. In constructed, I think I'd probably rather just play Cogsworth, honestly. Next is Unfortunate Situation. This is an inkable 4-cost steel action that reads, each opponent chooses one of their characters and deals 4 damage to them. I think this is a pretty good removal card in draft, but that's about it. You could make an argument for it being good in a multiplayer setting, but that's about where it stops as well. I don't hate it, but I don't totally love it either. Next up is Yokai, Professor Callaghan. Spoilers. He's an inkable 1-cost sapphire character card with 2 strength, 2 willpower. He quests for 1, and he's a vanilla. So yeah, it's a vanilla, nothing too exciting to talk about. We'll just go to the next card. Some more Pooh pirate characters coming in. This is Owl, Pirate Lookout. He is an inkable 3-cost amber character card with 3 strength, 3 willpower. He quests for 1. He has 1 ability. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, chosen opposing character gets -1 strength until the start of your next turn. I actually think this has some potential in Emerald Amber. It's almost like a Painting the Roses Red, but sort of on demand once per turn. The argument against it, though, is that Painting the Roses Red is a song, so it lets muses bounce something. So this would be less effective, obviously. But I think there's an argument to try this out. Maybe it needs some testing, but yeah, I don't hate it. I think this actually has some potential to be pretty good. Next up is Thievery. This is an inkable 1-cost ruby action card that reads, chosen opponent loses 1 lore, gain 1 lore. This probably isn't going to see play until making your opponent lose lore gives you some kind of benefit. It's okay in draft, but I wouldn't prioritize it by any means. But if it's, one of your last cards that kind of slots in, it's not terrible. Next is a pretty cool uncommon card. This is Aladdin, Intrepid Commander. He's an inkable 4-cost ruby character card with 1 strength, 4 willpower. He quests for 2 lore. He has Shift 2 and 1 ability, Remember Your Training. When you play this character, your characters get +2 strength this turn. I think this will go well in a Combat Matters kind of deck. This could also be some nice support for Ruby Steel, and also synergize as well with cards like Li Shang, Valorous General, to give all your characters more lore for a turn. So I like this card overall. Definitely grab this in draft because it's pretty good. Okay, next is a really weird and frankly fascinating card. This is Genie, Wonderful Trickster. He is an inkable 7-cost amethyst character card with 4 strength, 7 willpower. He quests for 2, he can shift for 5, and he has 2 abilities. His first ability is Your Reward Awaits. Whenever you play a card, draw a card, which is bonkers. And his second ability is Forbidden Treasure. At the end of your turn, put all cards in your hand on the bottom of your deck in any order. This is weirdly a counter to a card like Clarabelle, which will draw up to your hand size at the end of the turn, which is just really fascinating. And yeah, this card is this wild, man. I have no idea what kind of deck you put this in, but I think it has loads of potential. These are the kind of cards I love to see in the legendary slot. The kind of cards you want to build wacky decks around that do really, really unique things. I think somebody is going to create something wonderful and wacky with this card at some point. Personally, I'm too dumb to figure it out, but someone much smarter than me is going to do something awesome with this card, and I cannot wait. Also pick this up in draft because it's just amazing. If this is your top end in draft, man, GG. It's over. Next up, we've got I Won't Give In. This is an inkable 2-cost Amber Song. that reads, return a character card with cost 2 or less from your discard to your hand. This is probably pretty good for aggro to get something like Daisy back from your discard pile, but I don't think this really goes anywhere else. Not too high on this card overall. Next is Galactic Communicator. This is an uninkable 2-cost emerald item card with 1 ability, resource allocation. Pay 1 ink, banish this item, return chosen character with 2 strength or less to their player's hand. I don't like this at all. It's a really, really bad card. Do not play this card. Anyway, let's go to the next one. Next is a kind of weird one, but it's interesting nonetheless. This is Mr. Big Sly Tycoon. He is an uninkable 4-cost steel character card with 1 strength, 1 willpower. He quests for 3, and he has 1 ability that reads, this character cannot be challenged by characters with 2 strength or higher. I think in most circumstances, I don't think this is very good. But if you were making some kind of aggro steel deck, I think this might be pretty good. In draft, this will be pretty good, actually. But in constructed, I don't think there's any way this sees play whatsoever. There's just a lot of removal, and there's a lot of easy ways to just delete this immediately. So, and also it costs 4. So, you know, not feeling it. I don't think this really sees a lot of play. Next, we've got another lore drain card. This is Jasmine, Rebellious Princess. She is an inkable 3-cost ruby character card with 2 strength, 3 willpower. She quests for 2. She has 1 ability. You'll never miss it. Whenever this character quests, each opponent loses 1 lore. I don't hate this card. The stats are slightly low, but questing for 2 is nice. And this might be an essential piece to the lore drain deck whenever it becomes viable. I still think it needs a few more pieces to really become something that people are going to play. But in draft, I think this is actually a pretty good card. In constructed, we're still going to have to wait for more lore drain to get better. We need some kind of piece, like some kind of item that says whenever your opponent loses lore, you gain lore kind of thing, right? But I think this has some potential. This is definitely a good draft card, though. Grab it. All right, we're finally getting one of the 2 songs from Treasure Planet. This is I'm Still Here. This is an inkable 3-cost steel song, which reads, chosen character gains resist 2 until the start of your next turn. Draw a card. I don't hate this. In draft, this is pretty great, and it does replace itself, so that's just an added benefit. In constructed, this could maybe be a one-of tech card, but I think this will probably just be relegated to draft and Treasure Planet theme decks. But I think there's a chance maybe sees a little play, but I don't know. I'm not super feeling it. Okay, next is a beast of a card and has some really, really solid support for ping decks. This is John Silver, Stern Captain. He is an inkable 8-cost steel character card with 6 strength, 6 willpower. He quests for 2, he has Shift 5, he has Resist 2, and 1 ability, Don't Just Sit There. At the start of your turn, deal 1 damage to each opposing ready character. Other than the fact that this card costs a ton, I think this is really awesome. It opens up the doors for so many other ping cards that require there to already be damage on a character. He has Resist as well, which is just always awesome, always welcome. He has pretty good stats, he has 2 lore. I love this card, man. I want to build a ping deck more than ever right now. In draft, this could be your top-end bomb that just closes out the game, but he's also very expensive, so this is going to be pretty difficult to get out there without shifting, but either way, I love this card, man. It's awesome. Next is another pretty cool legendary card. This is Tiana, Restaurant Owner. She is an uninkable 3-cost amber character card with 1 strength, 4 willpower. She quests for 2. She has 1 ability, Special Reservation. Whenever a character of yours is challenged while this character is exerted, the challenging character gets -3 strength this turn unless their player pays 3 ink. This card has its flaws, but it looks so awesome. And it works so well with bodyguards since you can make it even harder to break through their defenses. Yes, it is removed by a lot of things, but I think this is some solid support for bodyguard decks, and it just looks really cool. Will it see constructed play? I mean, maybe. In draft, I think this is pretty awesome, especially if you can get a bodyguard on board. Either way, I think this card's pretty dope. Somebody will do something cool with this down the road, but I definitely think this is going to go in some kind of bodyguards deck because it's just really good. It's awesome. Next up is March Hare. Absurd Host. He's an inkable 4-cost amethyst character card with 2 strength, 3 willpower. He quests for 2, and he has Rush. Kinda underwhelmed by this card. It's pretty good in draft, but other than that, why would I play this over like Elsa the Fifth Spirit or Madam Mim Fox? And I'm gonna tell you right now, the answer is I wouldn't. So yeah, not super high on this at all. Next up is a goofy card. He is an uninkable 6-cost ruby character card with 5 strength, 5 willpower, and he quests for 1. He has Rush and Evasive. I actually kind of like this card. It's not as good as Maui for sure, but it does take out a lot of evasive threats and can probably survive as well. So I don't hate this for constructed in the right circumstances, even if it's uninkable and kind of expensive. In draft, I think this will eliminate most things you'd probably want it to, and if it survives, it can just hang out and quest for you. So yeah, good draft card, pretty good in constructed. It's certainly not a bad card. Next is another gadget card. This is Gadget Hack Wrench Creative Thinker. She is an inkable 3-cost sapphire character card with 1 strength, 4 willpower. She quests for 1, and she has 1 ability, Brainstorm. It says whenever you play an item, this character gets +1 lore this turn. I kind of like this for the item Storm deck, which saw a little play during the first set, but it just wasn't good enough. I think we might be on the verge of seeing red-blue items make a resurgence in Azurite Sea, and this could be just a good card to storm off on when you have something like Queen Diviner and Oswald on board at the same time. However, I think Ariel, Who's It Collector from set 1 will probably fight over this card's slot, but I do think I leaned more towards Gadget. But at the end of the day, it's going to depend on what you want to achieve. Do you want to constantly ready Ariel to either quest again or sing songs? Or would you rather build up lore on Gadget and just get a bunch in one go for having a bunch of items out? Time will tell, but I do really like this card actually. For a common, I think it's pretty interesting. Next up is Juju, Mama Odie's companion. He is an inkable 2-cost amethyst character card with 1 strength, 2 willpower. He quests for 1 lore. He's got 1 ability, Bee's Knees. When you play this character, move 1 damage counter from chosen character to chosen opposing character. Pretty good draft card, but that's about it. I don't think this will see play anywhere else, unfortunately. Next up, we have Olivia Flaversham. She is an uninkable 2-cost emerald character card with 1 strength, 1 willpower, and she quests for 3 lore. She is a vanilla. So this is basically Pinocchio Star Attraction, but an emerald. So I don't hate that. More aggro support for Lemon Lime, or honestly, any aggro deck running emerald. So yeah, not bad. Play it in draft for sure. Next up is Ben, Eccentric Robot. He is an inkable 4-cost sapphire character card with 4 strength, 3 willpower, and he quests for 2 lore, and he has support. I kind of like this card. It can quest for a lot, and it gives a lot of damage when supporting. 4 damage is nothing to sneeze at when you've got support. And the stats are comparable to other characters in the 4-drop slot, so yeah, I think this card is actually really good. And will be really, really good in draft. And I love to say it, but it's even more support for Alice Growing Girl. And yeah, this is really good for a common card. Mark my words, this is like a sleeper. People are going to sleep on this card. This one's good. This is Show the Way. It is an inkable 2-cost ruby action card that reads your characters gain +2 strength for the rest of the turn. Not bad. Again, this probably just goes in something like Ruby Steel, and will help you buff your characters and make Li Shang, Valorous General's ability pop off, but yeah, not bad. I think it only goes in very specific decks though. Next up is John Darling. He's an inkable 2-cost ruby character card with 1 strength, 4 willpower, and he quests for 1, and he's a vanilla. This is basically the same as the 2-drop Simba from this set, except red, and not a shift target for literally anybody, so it's kind of objectively worse actually, so yeah, no thank you. Next is Training Dummy. This is an inkable 2-cost steel item with 1 ability, Handle with Care. Exert and pay 2 ink. Chosen character gains Bodyguard until the start of your next turn. Kind of an interesting card. Giving one of your characters Bodyguard on the reg is pretty nice, but this can get expensive really fast. In draft, this could be a pretty cool item. In terms of it seeing play in the meta, it's really going to depend on the deck. I don't know if any deck today will need something like this, but there's a chance that it becomes a one of tech piece in some deck in the future, but I think this is pretty good for draft. Or just randomly off the cuff, unscripted thought, this could be really good in a reckless type deck, because then you can funnel whatever you give reckless to into a specific character. Yeah, this is pretty good. Pretty good card here. Not gonna lie. Next, we've got a new Hiram card. This is Hiram Flaversham. I do not know the subtitle. He is an uninkable 2-cost Sapphire character card with 0 strength, 2 willpower, and he quests for 3. More aggro for Sapphire. I feel like you might use this in a kind of Amber Sapphire aggro list, which I have played before, and it did okay, and maybe one day it'll be pretty good. But in this set, basically every color is getting more aggro options, and this is basically one of them. So it's good. In draft, you should grab this, even if it immediately gets banished after you play it. You can probably just get 3 lore off it pretty easy, and 3 lore is good. So, especially on turn 2, it's pretty good. So, yeah, it's a pretty good card. All right, yet another Scar. This is Scar Temperamental Lion, I believe this is what it says. It is an uninkable 6-cost Amethyst character card with 4 strength, 4 willpower, and he quests for 2. And he has Rush and Challenger 3. I think this is overall pretty good. I think Vicious Cheater is better than this overall, but I don't think that this one is bad. In draft, you for sure want to play with this, but in constructed, I don't think this will see very much play, unfortunately. All right, next up is Mad Hatter, Eccentric Host. He is an inkable 1-cost Amethyst character card with 1 strength, 1 willpower, and he quests for 1. He has 1 ability. We'll have to look into this. Whenever this character quests, you may look at the top card of chosen player's deck, put it on top of their deck, or into their discard. This is actually pretty cool. It's some more mill support, but also it just kind of can like let you snipe something really important off the top of their deck. I think this is a pretty cool card, and in draft this is actually pretty amazing, because if you discard 1 card off their deck, you're basically taking like 3% of their deck away from them, you know, after 1 quest. So that's not too bad. Not too bad. It's a pretty cool card. Next up is Diablo Obedient Raven. He's an inkable 1-cost Amethyst character card with 0 strength, 1 willpower. He quests for 1. He has 1 ability, Fly, my pet. When this character is banished, you may draw a card. Play this in draft, and that's about it. You're not really gonna play this in any other deck. If you're playing Diablo, you're gonna be playing the other Diablo also, because why would you shift onto this and not get the card draw, right? And the other one lets you see like your whole opponent's hand, which is super valuable. So yeah, I mean, play it in draft, but I think that's probably where this begins and ends. All right. We've got a really wacky one here that I love. This is Microbots. It is an inkable 2-cost. This is an inkable 2-cost Sapphire item card with 2 abilities. First one, Limitless Applications. You may have any number of cards named Microbots in your deck. And its second ability is Inspired Tech. When you play this item, chosen character gets -1 strength this turn for each item named Microbots you have in play. I think you do use this in a deck that just heavily relies on Microbots to work. I weirdly kind of hope that there is a card down the road that is literally just a Microbots character card that's like a 1/1 for 1 or something that quests for 1, and you can just spam these out. I think that would be so funny. I would try it, to be honest. I would try to make it work. I love that you could just have a deck full of these things, and it opens up so many possibilities for item decks in general, in multiple colors actually. So I'm excited to see what kind of weird stuff people cook up with this. I actually really like it, and I hope somebody makes something really wacky, because I want to try it out. All right, next is kind of a weird card. It's cool, but it's a little weird. This is Yokai, Scientific Supervillain. He is an inkable 9-cost Sapphire character card with 6 strength, 10 willpower, and he quests for 2 lore. He can shift for 6. He has 2 abilities. First one, Neurotransmitter. You may play items named Microbots for free. Wow. And his second ability, Technical Gain. Whenever this character quests, draw a card for each opposing character with 0 strength. That being like it works with Microbots to lower the strength of other characters, so then when you quest, you know, you can draw a bunch of cards. And you know he's not going to die easily because he's got 10 willpower. So yeah. I think you do use this in a deck that relies heavily on Microbots to work. However, I think that's probably the only place you use him. I wouldn't really play this in draft because it's so expensive and it doesn't have a lot of payoff in the format. So I would probably avoid using this in that specific instance, but I am still curious how Microbots as a deck pans out with something like this. It's also very flavorful for sure. Okay, so here's the first of 2 Tadashi cards to close out the video. This is Tadashi Hamada, a gifted roboticist. He is an uninkable 3-cost Sapphire character card with 2 strength, 2 willpower. He quests for 2. He has 1 ability, Someone Has to Help. During an opponent's turn, when this character is banished, you may put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down, then put this card into your inkwell face down. This seems pretty good in a draft situation, and at first I thought this sounded pretty good, almost like an improved Grandma Tala Storyteller. But then I realized that the ability only happens on your opponent's turn, and then it became a little less appealing, but I don't think it's bad. I still think it's actually pretty good. I just sort of struggle to figure out how to play this optimally other than kind of throwing it out there and just hoping for the best. But I would draft this card for sure because I do think it's pretty good. And finally, our second Tadashi card to close out the video. This is Tadashi Hamada, Baymax Inventor. He is an inkable 6-cost Sapphire character card with 3 strength, 3 willpower, and he quests for 3. He has 1 ability, Let's Get Back to Work. This character gets +1 strength and +1 willpower for each item you have in play. Microbots, baby, let's go. Use this alongside Yokai with the Microbots. Have like a 2020 Tadashi Hamada. He's never going away. Yeah, once again, I think this pretty much goes in a Microbots or items deck and nothing else. I probably wouldn't play this in draft unless you just really wanted to get that 3 lore, but even then, I think there's better, cheaper options for you to pick up along the way. I don't think this is going to see much play outside of some very specific lists. So that was all of the cards revealed in the last week. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like and subscribe to the Sorcerer's Hat for more Lorcana videos. I post a new one every single Friday. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye. Love you.